Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
How healthy is orange juice? This is the ongoing debate in the science world. You have some who say, yeah, you know what? It's actually providing you with all of these vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. So clearly it must be healthy. And then you have another train of thought where it's like, maybe not so much. You'd be better off eating the whole fruit itself as opposed to drinking the juice. Now, I tend to be on that side of the aisle when it comes to fruit. I'm not a big fan of the different fruit juices that are out there, even if it's 100% quote unquote fruit juice. I still find that actually eating your fruit is better than drinking the fruit juice itself. Now, there's a couple of different reasons as to why that is. Number one, I do believe that we're going through less processing, which is always a good thing. But secondly, we're maintaining the fiber content of that fruit, so the natural fiber, which is what helps to offset the negative implications that the fructose from the fruit itself can do to our blood sugar. So there's a lot of different research out there and different health advocates advising people to eat oranges as opposed to drinking orange juice. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of different science and studies out there that really do trend more to that side of, you know what, just eat the orange, not drink the juice. Same thing when we look at apples, for example. I mean, you're better off eating an apple than you are to drink apple juice. Now, why is that? Once again, we go back to the fiber component. So the fruit juice itself is going to lose that fiber. And the whole fruit actually is what provides a good amount. So you look at an apple, for example, one medium-sized apple can probably yield you about 5 grams of fiber. And the reason why that's important is because we know that Americans do a horrible job when it comes to fiber intake because of our low actual daily intake of both fruits and vegetables. So with that being said, it makes an awful lot of sense that if we want to try and obtain the nutrients from the fruit, we should actually eat that. So I am Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and today I want to give you an alternative to orange juice. As I mentioned, it's good if we want to eat an orange, so eating the whole orange. But if we want to be drinking something, then I encourage you to check out our Oranges HX. So if you go to our website, invitehealth.com, and you look at the Oranges HX, this is absolutely just loaded down with all of these power nutrients coming from the orange-colored pigmented fruits and vegetables that many of us are very familiar with. So when we think about orange-colored fruits and vegetables, we usually think about things like citrus fruit. So of course, things like tangerine powder is in this. We have melon fruit powder, there's peach fruit powder, pineapple, papaya, apricot, mango. And then we look at the orange pigmented vegetables. So we have carrot root extract, there's pumpkin extract in this. All of these things, like rutabaga, for example, yam, these are all packed into the Oranges HX formulation. Now, why does that matter so much? Because we can look at just a glass of orange juice and we can say, okay, well, how healthy is this glass of orange juice? It's providing us with, a minimal amount of vitamin C, a little bit of, additional minerals. But at the end of the day, really, how healthy is it? So when we look at the Oranges HX, on the other hand, we have all of these wonderful fruit and vegetable extracts that are in this, that are yielding us all of these different phytochemicals and these phytonutrients. So we're getting a complex blend of vitamins and minerals and powerful antioxidants. Not to mention, it has other wonderful key nutrients that are added into this on top of the fruit and vegetable extracts. So it has inositol and taurine, it has dimethylglycine, it has ginseng extract, along with some coenzyme Q10 and green coffee bean extract. So all of these things, when we weigh the scientific benefits of each and every single one of these things, they far outweigh any potential small benefit that you can get from drinking a glass of orange juice. And I know that I probably shouldn't say that. I live in Florida. I should be promoting oranges. I do. Eat an orange, not a problem. Drinking orange juice, not so much. So this is why I always encourage people to think outside of the box. And when you see a formulation such as the Oranges HX, which has a wonderful taste to it, by the way, and it's all natural. This is coming from the natural fruit and vegetable sources. But I really want to talk specifically about how these nutrients can be beneficial. Well, clearly, if we have all of these high antioxidant fruit and vegetable extracts, we know that that's going to help to offset and combat oxidative stress that can be occurring throughout our body. We also know that these orange pigmented fruits and vegetables are packed with carotenoids, this class of antioxidants, these phytochemicals that are incredibly beneficial when it comes to our eye health, when it comes to our brain health, for example. So that is just one of the wonderful things that goes along with Oranges HX. But I also want to talk about some of the other key components. So the inositol. Inositol, I always describe this as kind of like a mini B complex. And it is very important when it comes to a number of different biological processes in the body. We know that inositol is key when it comes to certain signaling pathways in the body. And we also know that it's very important when we look at serotonin. So that's our happy neurotransmitter. So we have to have inositol for cell-to-cell communication within the brain, for example, but it's also very beneficial when we look at the way our neurotransmitters are released, in particular serotonin. So when we look at its benefit when it comes to maintaining our mood, well, that's something that we're probably not getting if we choose the glass of orange juice, but we are certainly going to be yielding that benefit when we're taking in Oranges HX. Now I want to talk about the taurine that is in this. Now, taurine is probably one of the most undervalued amino acids in the human body. It is technically the most abundant intracellular amino acid. So when we say intracellular, what resides on the inside of the cell. Now, it has a lot of different functions, but one of the most important things that taurine does is it helps with the regulation and the functionality within excitable tissues. So when we think about excitable tissues, we are thinking about our heart and we are thinking about our brain. And this is certainly an amino acid that we want to make sure we have an adequate amount of. So the most abundant intracellular amino acid in the body. And it is thought to be a very essential substance found in the human body. And there's a reason why. Because when we look at the extensive ways in which taurine is used, we can now start to link it to overall longevity, for example. So if we are lacking intracellular taurine, this can impact the lifespan of a cell. So let's look at the way taurine has actually been studied and all of its many different benefits. So we can look at it when it comes to the central nervous system. Remember I said the excitable tissues. We can look at it when it comes to maintaining cardiovascular health. Now, why is that important? We look at the electrical conduction system within the heart. So we have the excitable tissues there as well. But we also know taurine is very important when it comes to maintaining insulin sensitivity. So we don't become insulin resistant. And if we become insulin resistant, that means we have a hard time controlling our blood glucose, or our blood sugar has a tendency to be elevated for too long, which can drive up damage via glycation. So glycation is when we have the excess glucose that's traveling around and it's attaching onto things that we don't want it to attach onto, like nerves, like your eyeballs. We don't want that to happen. And we know that taurine plays a really critical role in maintaining that glucose insulin balance. We also know that we require taurine for cognitive function, for liver function, for the formation of bile salts, which is important when we think about the breakdown of our fats. So all of these different things that we know clearly about taurine, this very essential and very abundant amino acid that is so commonly overlooked and not talked about enough. And for me, that's an issue, because we should know more. Even if you didn't go to medical school and you just, did your high school biology class, we should know more about the nutrition and the way that the body works. We should know more as human beings how our bodies function. It's kind of like we take for granted the cars that we drive. We just go and unlock the door and get in, put the key in the ignition and start up the car and drive. But yet, the majority of people, if something goes awry with our car, we don't know how to fix it. We know how to generally put gas in our car and, check the oil, put air in the tires. But other than that, most people don't know too much about cars. Well, that makes sense, because that's why we have mechanics, people who have a, profound interest in that. And then we have body mechanics. You have doctors and scientists who have a profound interest in how the human body works. But for us, we should actually have a profound interest in how our bodies work. It's a little bit different than the car, because it's our body. It is our vehicle. And so we should know more about amino acids and endogenous antioxidants that we are born with, that the body continuously makes throughout our lifespan. And we should understand that when we don't have enough of these amino acids or antioxidants, the ramifications that can create in terms of our overall health. And there are so many different studies out there that look at the impact of different foods as well as different nutrients and how the body can basically respond or react to these things. So we look at the oranges HX and we say, okay, well, this is giving us, coenzyme Q10 and dimethylglycine. What's dimethylglycine? This is a very important component in terms of regulating over 40 different processes in the body each and every single day. But it's also a precursor. It is required for the manufacturing of glutathione, one of the most important antioxidants in the body. And then we look at taurine and we say, oh gosh, taurine's needed kind of throughout the body everywhere. Yes, it is. And we look at inositol and we say, okay, well, inositol, we have to have this because this is important for, insulin as well as serotonin and that cell-to-cell communication within the body. So when we have the ability to include something like the oranges HX into our routine every day, then it makes an awful lot of sense to say, yeah, I see that. I understand why we would want to be doing this. So let's break down some of the different nutrients. There's been a lot of research done with hesperidin. And hesperidin is a component, a constituent that is found in high amounts in citrus fruit. So when we look at our oranges and our tangerines and all of those different citrus fruits, we look at hesperidin. And it is this hesperidin that often gets much of the credit for the benefits of those fruits. And in the Experimental Gerontology Journal, they were looking at how hesperidin can reverse periovascular changes within the aorta. And we know that this can happen. You can start to get aortic stiffening with the aging process. So in this study done through the University of Kentucky, through their Department of Kinesiology. They tested the hypothesis that hesperidin would actually reverse age-related aortic stiffness. And they also were looking at the impact that the hesperidin would have on advanced glycation end products. Remember, I was just talking about the role that things like taurine play to make sure that the blood glucose and the insulin balance are in check. Because if we have too much glucose, we end up with glycation, and glycation does damage. So this study out of the University of Kentucky says, okay, let's see if hesperidin, this constituent that we get from citrus fruit, this very potent flavonoid, if this will do anything, not only to reverse the stiffening within the vessels, but if it will do anything against the advanced glycation end products. And they found it did exactly that. The hesperidin ameliorated the age-related increase in aortic stiffness. At the same time, they found it had the ability to reverse the negative impact of advanced glycation end products. So it's those AGEs that start to accumulate that can do significant damage within the vasculature. So we look at that. We know that fisetin, this other powerful constituent that we find in high amounts in different fruits and vegetables that are included in the oranges HX, and seeing that the oranges HX can provide us not just the benefit of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, but these really well-studied constituents, the hesperidin, the fisetin, and knowing that fisetin can help to maintain, once again, a natural endogenous antioxidant, glutathione. And that's a really powerful thing. Seeing that something that comes from fruits and vegetables can actually maintain the appropriate levels of a naturally occurring antioxidant in the human body. We know from many different studies, and in the British Journal of Nutrition, they were looking at citrus consumption and the incidence of dementia. So this study was done in Japan, and they were looking at folks who were eating oranges and grapefruit, not drinking the orange juice or grapefruit juice, but actually eating, consuming the whole fruit. And what they found was that those who consumed regular amounts of these citrus fruit had a 23% lowered risk of dementia. And it went back to, once again, a chemical constituent that is naturally occurring in those fruits called nobiletine. And it is this nobiletine that has been shown to slow or reverse the cognitive decline. So when we look at oranges HX, we say, okay, yeah, this is not too bad. Got these fruits and vegetables in there, providing us with all of these wonderful things. Then we got the added benefit of the most abundant amino acid that's needed in the human body, taurine. We get that inositol to really help to balance our mood as well as our blood glucose, along with having the added benefit of green coffee bean extract and coenzyme Q10. So next time you're sitting there and going, I'm trying to make anew. I want to be healthier. What should I do? What's the first thing that I should start with? And I always say dietary changes. Start with dietary modifications. Start to adhere more towards a Mediterranean diet. Change the things that you know you can change. If you are currently an orange juice drinker every day, then we want to consider swapping that orange juice out for the oranges HX. So I definitely encourage you to go to our website, invitehealth.com. Check out the oranges HX, one of my favorite formulations that we offer. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Now, do make sure that you subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.